So now that we have all of our formatting done, we have all of our content from our client, it's time for us to create the design and the layout that we want to use for this website. So let's go ahead and start by creating new HTML. And we are actually not going to design each page separately. We're designing everything on one file, which is going to be called a Dreamweaver template. It actually gets a different extension than a HTML file. It's a .dwt, and then we apply it to these pages that have basic formatting on them. Okay? So let's start. You need your insert bar or insert panel. Mine is a bar now up here. And you need the layout tab. And if you click on standard mode, the third icon you see is for draw AP div. Now, I also want you to notice that I am in split view, and you're going to need to be in split view too, because you're going to have to change some things. So I'm going to draw AP div, and I'm just going to draw a rectangle there with it. And by default, Dreamweaver gives it the name AP div 1. I don't want things to be named 1, 2, 3, 4 because sometimes we wind up with pages that have lots of divs on them, and it makes it hard for us to know what they are. So what I want to do is I want to select this div, and I can use my little breadcrumbs down here that allows me to select specific tags. And then I know that when I come down here in my properties, whatever I'm doing here is going to be applied to that div. And I'm going to call this one container, all lowercase letters. And you can see it changing right here. If I look in my CSS styles, I can see it right there. I am going to go ahead and give some properties to this container while we have it selected. I want L and T is referring to left and top. And that is the position from the left and the position from the top. So I want 0 pixels from the top. We're going to go ahead and leave left wherever it is for the time being because we're going to delete it up here soon. The width is going to be 770 pixels, and there's 2 reasons why I chose that. The first is because when we, and make sure you type in PX. There we go. We have to make sure that we design our website so that we do not scroll left to right. And number 2, the image of the banner that that our clients gave us to use here fits a 770 pixel design. Okay. The height, we're going to eventually make it auto, but for right now we need to set it to 600 pixels. And we're going to give it a background color of black. Now, if I come up here and click on container, and you'll see over here that left property that I said we were going to delete. I'm going to go ahead and click on that right here. So you know from doing HTML that you can apply your properties actually in the code itself. You can see that there are some properties that you can add down here in your properties panel. However, the best place and the easiest place, because they are all here available, is probably in your CSS styles. So now I want to add some more by choosing the add property. And if you type in the first letter of what you're looking for, it takes you to that area. So I'm going to hit P, and I'm going to go to position. Oops, or do I already have position on there? Oh, I have position on there already. I need to change it from absolute to relative. And then what this is going to do is this is going to allow us to center our div on the page so that no matter how big or small, it's always in the middle. With that, though, we also have to add margin left and make that auto. Whoops. Margin, sorry. I'm having trouble. Margin left, auto. There we go. And then margin right, also auto. You'll have to type that in. And you can see how it put a nice little buffer on the side. Okay, so we have that done for now. Let's go back. We're going to draw another AP div. And you can just draw it anywhere because we're going to have to use our tags to move it around. This one, before we do anything to it, we want to name it header. And I did it all lowercase. And the header is going to go actually inside the container. So the container should open, then the header should open, then the header should close, and then the container should close, just as you see in my code here. You can go back in and it should refresh the CSS styles. Okay, I can use my breadcrumbs to make sure I have this selected. I want to, this is going to be where my banner goes. But before I do that, I want to set up some sizes. I want the width to be 750 pixels. That's because that is how big the banner is. Same thing with the height. It's going to be 196 pixels. It is going to be 10 pixels from the top of the container, and it's going to be 10 pixels from the left of the container. And now when I click on header, you can see the properties starting to appear here. I also want to change the position to relative. Then I am going to actually do a quick save. Before I do a save though, I actually want to do save as template. This is where it's going to get the Dreamweaver extension. If we put in an image before we save it, it's going to prompt us to save it. So that's why we're doing it now. So save as template, and I'm just going to go ahead and call this Texas and hit save. You'll notice that it creates a folder called template, and then the name of our template is in there, texas.dwt. Now at this point, we're ready to put our image here inside the header. The image that we need is called texastemp.gif. There's several ways you can do it. I find the easiest way is to drag it from our Files panel. Remember that we need to put in our alternate text, which is Texas, and there it is. Now, you do want to look in your code and make sure that your image tag is between your opening header tag and your closing header tag. If it's not, simply select it and move it to wherever it needs to go. It's easy to do. Once you have that in, we're going to create one more div, and this is going to be where our content is. So I'm going to draw AP div, and I am going to select it. I'm going to name it content, all lowercase. It also needs to be inside the container, but it should go after the header. So here is where it is right now. So container, header opens, image is there, header closes, content opens, content closes, container closes. Okay? And if I look at my container, I'm going to go ahead and give it a background color of white, because white with black text is the easiest thing to read. I am going to give this 10 pixels to the left. That's where it's going to start. Now, it's going to start 20 pixels from the top. And it's doing that, and it's going to change in just a minute, okay? And I'll explain why. It is going to have a width of 730. Now, that's not as wide as that. And again, I'm going to explain why in a second. And then the height, we can go ahead and put in 500, although we're going to change it later. Okay? Now, if we come over here into the content and we look at our properties, first thing we need to do is change the position to relative. Now, once I do relative, you can see that the 20 pixels from the top includes this 10 and this 10. That's why I put that. We need to add padding. Whoops. And you'll notice when I hit P, it takes us straight to padding. There's padding which applies it all the way around, or we can apply it to a specific side. We're going to do all the way around and make it 10 pixels. Now, when we make it 10 pixels, now all of a sudden, look how the width of it lines up here. Okay, so the 730 pixels of width is basically applying to the workspace inside that div. So 730 plus 10 pixels on the left and 10 pixels on the right equals 750, which is the width that is. That's how we get that. Okay? All right. Now, inside our content, I want to type page title, and I'm going to hit return, and I'm going to type body content. Go ahead and highlight page title, and we're going to make it an H1. Body content, if it doesn't already have format of paragraph, apply that to it. Now, instead of just selecting the word page title, I want to go into our code and select the H1, the words page title, and then the closing H1 tag. We're going to make this an editable region. Okay? So we need to go to the Insert menu, Template Objects, Editable Region. I'm going to call this page title, and I'm not putting any spaces, and click OK. And then this makes it an editable region. I'm going to do the same thing with body content. I'm going to select the P tags, body content, and the closing P tag. I'm going to go to Insert, Template Objects, Editable Region, and I'm going to call this body content, and I didn't put any spaces in there either. Click OK. This is how it is right now. Basically what we do is when we apply this template to the pages, the only parts that you can edit from those pages will be where the content is here in the page title or the body content. So now that we have this part in, let's go ahead and we're going to change the size, the height rather, of our content. Here it is, to auto. And that means that it's going to fit whatever is inside of it. For container, we're also going to change this height to auto. And because it looks like our container is not go below the content, we're going to add one more property to the container div. And that is going to be padding bottom, and we're going to put in 20 pixels so that it goes below the content. And then go ahead and you can Command S, and it's going to save the template. Remember, we already had it saved as a DWT, so now it is just saving over top of it. Now, this is the basic layout that we're going to use throughout the website, and we'll be able to apply it to our pages.